Long before graves had names, long before prayers had words, humans were already burying their dead with care. Bodies were not abandoned or forgotten. They were laid gently into the earth, surrounded by tools, food, flowers, and sometimes fire. These actions were not practical. They were emotional. They revealed something profound. Early humans believed that death was not the end. Imagine living in a world where death was everywhere. Animals hunted humans. Disease struck suddenly. Injuries that are minor today were fatal then. Death was not rare, it was constant. Yet instead of treating the dead as empty shells, early humans treated them as if they were still somehow present. This belief marked one of the most important moments in human history, the birth of the idea of an afterlife. Archaeological evidence shows that burial rituals date back tens of thousands of years. Some of the earliest graves contain red ochre sprinkled over bodies, a substance resembling blood. This was not decoration. Blood symbolized life. Covering the dead in red pigment suggested a belief in rebirth or continuation. Death was seen not as disappearance, but as transformation. Why would humans do this? The answer lies in the human mind's refusal to accept permanent loss. When someone died, their body stopped moving, but their presence did not vanish from memory. Their voice still echoed in the mind. Their face appeared in dreams. Early humans had no scientific explanation for this. To them, it meant the person still existed somewhere unseen. Dreams played a powerful role in shaping beliefs about death. When early humans dreamed of their dead relatives speaking, walking, or guiding them, these experiences felt real. There was no understanding of subconscious thought. A dream was another form of reality. If the dead could appear in dreams, then they must still be alive in another world. Burial practices varied across regions, but the meaning behind them was strikingly similar. Some bodies were buried facing the rising sun, symbolizing rebirth. Others were placed in fetal positions, as if preparing for a new birth. Some graves included weapons, suggesting the dead would need protection. Others included food, implying hunger still existed beyond death. These practices reveal a simple but powerful belief. Life continued after death in a form that resembled earthly existence. The afterlife was not imagined as abstract or spiritual. It was physical, familiar, and closely connected to the living world. The dead needed the same things they needed when alive. Fear was deeply tied to these beliefs. Humans feared that if the dead were not treated properly, they might return as angry spirits. Burial rituals were a way to maintain peace between the living and the dead. Respecting the dead ensured protection. Disrespect invited disaster. This belief reinforced careful burial practices and strengthened the idea that death did not sever relationships. Ancestor worship began as a result of this belief. The dead were no longer helpless, they became powerful. Ancestors watched over their families, guided decisions, and influenced success or failure. Over time, ancestors became intermediaries between humans and the divine. The line between spirits, ancestors, and gods became increasingly blurred. Burial sites themselves became sacred. Caves, hills, and specific locations were chosen repeatedly. These places became points of connection between worlds. Humans believed the barrier between life and death was thinner there. Visiting graves was not only remembrance, it was communication. The living spoke to the dead, asked for guidance, and offered gifts. As communities grew, burial rituals became more elaborate. Leaders and respected members were buried with greater care. This reflected social structure. Status in life extended into death. The afterlife mirrored human society, with hierarchy and order. This belief reinforced power structures among the living. Children were also buried with care, sometimes with toys or symbols of protection. This shows that belief in the afterlife was not reserved for adults. Even those who had not fully lived were believed to continue existing. Death was not punishment, it was passage. The concept of judgment slowly emerged. If the afterlife existed, then behavior in life mattered. Some burial practices suggest early ideas of reward and punishment. Those who followed social rules were honored. Those who violated norms were sometimes very differently or excluded from ritual care. Morality became linked to fate after death. Nature heavily influenced how humans imagined the afterlife. The sun disappeared each night and returned each morning. Seasons died and were reborn. Plants withered and grew again. Humans saw death as part of a cycle rather than an end. Burial placed the body into the earth, where life emerged. This reinforced the idea that death led to new existence. Over time, stories developed to explain where the dead went. Some believed in underground worlds. Others imagined journeys across rivers or mountains. These stories helped humans cope with grief. If loved ones were traveling rather than gone, loss became bearable. Fire played a symbolic role in burial rituals. Fire transformed matter. It turned solid into smoke and ash. Cremation, practiced by some early cultures, was not destruction, it was release. Fire freed the spirit from the body. Smoke rising into the sky suggested ascent to another realm. Music, chanting, and silence accompanied burials. These were not expressions of sorrow alone. They were rituals guiding the dead. Sounds were believed to open paths between worlds. Silence showed respect. Every action had meaning. As belief in the afterlife strengthened, death became sacred. The moment of dying was no longer random. It was watched, guided, and remembered. Humans gathered around the dying, spoke to them, and prepared them for the journey ahead. This belief softened the terror of death. The afterlife also provided answers to injustice. In life, good people suffered and cruel people prospered. Death offered balance. If justice did not exist here, it would exist beyond. This belief gave hope and meaning in a harsh world. Burial rituals became one of the earliest forms of religion. They combined belief, ritual, symbolism, and community. Through death, humans created their first spiritual systems. The afterlife belief was not separate from daily life. It shaped how humans lived, loved, and behaved. As societies evolved, these early ideas did not disappear, they transformed. Burial rituals became more structured. Afterlife beliefs became more detailed. Gods began to rule over death and judgment. What began as simple care for the dead became complex religious doctrine. Yet at its core, the belief remained human. It was born from love, memory, fear, and imagination. Humans could not accept that relationships ended completely. Through burial rituals, they kept connections alive beyond death. Even today, modern funerals reflect these ancient beliefs. Flowers, prayers, silence, and remembrance are echoes of early human rituals. The desire to honor the dead remains unchanged. Humans still believe that death deserves meaning. The earliest belief in life after death was not about heaven or hell, it was about continuation. Existence did not vanish, it changed. Through burial rituals, humans faced death and refused to let it be meaningless. As belief in life after death deepened, humans began to imagine the afterlife not just as a place, but as a journey. Death was no longer a sudden stop. It was a passage that required preparation. The body was prepared, the spirit was guided, and the community participated in ensuring that the transition happened safely. This idea of a journey made death feel structured rather than chaotic. Many early cultures believed the soul needed guidance to reach the next world. Without proper rituals, the soul might become lost, restless, or dangerous. This fear strengthened the importance of burial ceremonies. The living became responsible for the fate of the dead. Caring for the deceased was no longer optional, it was a duty. Objects placed in graves reveal how vividly early humans imagined the afterlife. Tools suggested work continued beyond death. Weapons implied danger still existed. Jewelry symbolized identity and status. These items were not symbolic gestures alone, they were practical supplies for another life. The afterlife was imagined as a continuation of earthly existence, not an abstract spiritual realm. Different cultures imagined different destinations for the dead, shaped by their environment. People living near rivers imagined crossing waters after death. Mountain communities imagined climbing or descending sacred peaks. Desert cultures imagined long journeys under harsh conditions. Geography shaped belief, turning the natural world into a map of the unseen. Some societies believed the dead lived close to the living, watching silently. Others believed they traveled far away to distant lands or skies. In both cases, death did not erase connection. The dead remained aware, responsive, and influential. This belief shaped behavior. The living acted carefully, knowing they were still observed. As burial rituals grew more complex, specialists emerged to guide them. These individuals understood rituals, chants, and symbols. They knew how to prepare the body, how to speak to the spirit, and how to protect the living from harm. These early ritual leaders were precursors to priests and religious authorities. Time itself became important in burial practices. Some rituals had to be performed at specific moments, before sunrise, after sunset, or during certain seasons. Timing was believed to affect the soul's journey. Missing the correct moment could disturb the balance between worlds. Silence and sound were both sacred tools. Silence honored the mystery of death. Sound guided the soul. Drums, chants, and cries were believed to open pathways and communicate with unseen realms. The human voice became a bridge between life and death. The idea of judgment after death slowly evolved. Early humans observed that behavior affected social harmony. Over time, this idea extended beyond life. If someone caused harm, their fate after death might be different. This belief strengthened moral codes. Right and wrong gained cosmic importance. Children learned these beliefs early. Burial rituals were shared experiences. Through them, children learned about loss, respect, and continuity. Death was not hidden, it was explained through story and ritual. This openness made belief a shared foundation of community life. As populations expanded, burial sites became places of memory and identity. Ancestors defined belonging. To be buried among one's people meant acceptance and continuity. Exile from burial grounds was one of the greatest punishments, worse than death itself. Some cultures believed the soul separated into parts. One part stayed near the body, another traveled to the afterlife, another lived on through memory and name. This idea reflected human experience. A person felt both gone and present at the same time. Belief adapted to emotion. Over generations, burial rituals preserved knowledge. Myths, values, and histories were passed down through ceremonies. The dead became teachers. Their stories shaped identity. Memory itself became sacred. As societies grew more complex, belief in the afterlife influenced power and leadership. Rulers claimed special destinations after death. Their graves became monuments. These structures were not just tombs, they were statements. They showed that power extended beyond life. This connection between death and authority reinforced social order. If leaders were chosen or favored by the divine, their afterlife status justified their power. Burial rituals became political as well as spiritual. Fear of death never disappeared, but belief softened it. Humans still mourned, but they did not face emptiness. The afterlife gave grief a shape. Loss became separation, not erasure. This belief helped humans survive emotionally in a dangerous world. Over time, burial rituals were standardized. What began as instinctive care became tradition. Tradition became law. Law became religion. The afterlife belief moved from caves and fires into temples and texts. Yet, even as beliefs became formal, their emotional roots remained unchanged. Love, fear, memory, and hope continued to drive ritual. Humans still wanted assurance that death was not meaningless. Modern religions inherited these early beliefs. Heaven, hell, judgment, resurrection, all trace back to the first burial rituals. The language changed, the stories evolved, but the foundation remained the same. Even today, humans place objects with the dead: flowers, letters, symbols, photographs. These acts mirror ancient practices. They express the same refusal to let connection end. The belief in life after death shaped how humans understood life itself. If existence continued, then life had purpose. Actions mattered. Relationships mattered. Time mattered. Through burial rituals, humans transformed fear into meaning. Death became a doorway instead of a wall. The unknown became a journey rather than a void. This belief allowed humans to face mortality with courage. The first belief in an afterlife was not born from doctrine, but from experience. It emerged from dreams, memory, nature, and love. Humans did not invent the afterlife to escape reality. They imagined it to understand reality. As long as humans remembered the dead were never truly gone. Memory became immortality. Story became survival. Belief became the bridge between what was seen and what was felt. The earth received the body, but the mind refused to release the presence. Through burial rituals, humans declared that existence did not end at the edge of breath. Something continued beyond sight, beyond touch, beyond explanation.